The following set of exercises look at the hip glute complex. Now this area around the hip is so important both for just strength when we're running, so great for speed and power, but also just for general stability. So this exercise that Dan is going to demonstrate is called the hip hike. It's very good for strengthening the glute medius, which is a muscle at the top of the glutes, and very good for getting the top of the glutes and the lower back engaged together, which is very important during the stance phase of running. So as Dan's going to demonstrate here, the first thing we need to do is almost drop a hanging leg off the side of a step. So this hip here drops down as the opposite side hip comes out. So you can see the hips are now on a tilt, and then just initiating the glutes and the lower back, Dan is going to tense up and just pull this hip upwards and let it drop back down. This exercise is just called a step up, quite simply. It's again designed for glute strength and power. So Dan in a moment, he's just going to be stepping up onto this leg, but key points are he'll be focusing on his knee position. We want this knee tracking straight over the midline of the foot. And a lot of times when we run, when we have this kind of movement from the knee, it's actually being controlled by the hip. So this exercise will help us develop that control from the hip to keep the knee tracking nice and straight. So we go for it, Dan. You'll need a resistance band for the next two exercises, but the first one is called the leg extension, which is very good for developing good hip extension, but also powerful glutes. So we want to stay nice and tall and start with the leg extension exercise. So Dan will demonstrate that now for us. So hip abduction is a great exercise for developing strength just on the outside edge of the hip. Very good for actually developing stability all the way down through the leg. So Dan's going to start with that now. Again, you need a resistance band, and this time he's just pulling the band outwards and away from the body. But what Dan's going to do here is just extend out one leg, and he's slowly going to raise his hips up to come into a diagonal position. Very important here. You can go back down, Dan, and just do that a few times for us. The important thing here is as we go up is trying to keep this pelvis straight. We'll tend to want to dip to one side or the other, so keeping the hips straight is our priority.